Enhancing and sustaining agricultural activity across the value chain and getting agro-allied industries working are basic requirements for increased food production to achieve economic stability, food security. It remains a key component through a robust strategy for the creation of an enabling environment for farming to thrive. Given the crucial role of agriculture plays in promoting foreign exchange earnings, raw materials for industrial development, and strong support for job creation. Now, in recognition of these roles, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his inaugural speech, outlined the focus of his administration in the agri sector to include, among other things, and I quote, agricultural hubs will be created throughout the nation to increase production and engage in value-added processing. The livestock sector will be introduced to modern best practices to minimize the perennial conflict over land and water resources in this sector. And food shall be abundant yet less costly. Farmers shall earn more and the average Nigerian will pay less. End of quote. Now, this is indeed heartwarming and cheering news to farmers, with the rainy season gaining momentum across the country. Notwithstanding the not too good palatable weather prediction by NIMET, farmers are optimistic of better yields and robust harvest as the farming season begins in earnest. In light of this, Weekend File today focuses on the preparation for the 2023 cropping season as a foundation for achieving the federal government's goal of agricultural development and stability. My guest is Professor Emmanuel Ikani, Executive Director, National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He will join us from our Kaduna Network studio. I am Jumbai Yusuf. First, let's get the news. The 9th Senate has held valedictory session marking the end of the Assembly. The session took off with presentation of certificate of legislative service to all the senators, including the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Kashim Shettima, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and Governor of Kaduna State, Uba Sani. The senators noted the 9th Assembly passed 180 bills higher than any assembly since 1999.
The 9th Senate is a testament to the possibilities that can transpire when the executive and the legislature realize that they are bound for the same destination. None is the enemy of the other. It's not the architecture and upholstery of this building that makes a legislature, distinguished colleagues. Without your resolve to be the bedrock of checks and balances, this place would have been a mere decorative geography on the map of this city.
Working with partners, we also engage in harmonizing the legislative and institutional frameworks, regulating all security agencies to reduce overlap and enhance greater collaboration. Only a few weeks ago, I commissioned the Legislative Center for Security Analysis to monitor armed conflicts and other forms of crimes in the country to inform lawmaking.
And bowing out of the Senate after 3 terms are judged as impactful. Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, says Nigerians must look to the future with new hope, ready to match their expectations with necessary sacrifice. She was speaking at the valedictory session of the 9th Senate. Adeni Taiwo reports.
It is the end of the 9th Senate, and this valedictory session, organized in keeping with tradition, presents this set of lawmakers a final opportunity to take stock and do some backslapping. A prominent member, having served in the Red Chamber from the 7th Assembly in 2011 to the 9th, Nigeria's First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, joins the session, her last as a senator. As one of the few women lawmakers at the upper chamber, Senator Oluremi Tinubu has proved a mettle, working alongside her colleagues to enact laws which have now become the legacies of the 9th Assembly. Among others, she is credited with sponsoring about 8 bills, 3 of which have now become Acts of Parliament, while co-sponsoring a number of others. She was chairperson, Senate Committee on Communications during the 9th Assembly, while she headed Senate Standing Committees on Women Affairs and the Environment at different times during the 8th Assembly.
Over the years, we've made friends.
Describing her terms at the Senate as a privilege that comes with a lot of sacrifice, the First Lady, in her valedictory remark, notes that the renewed hope promised by the new administration will become a reality with the genuine input of all Nigerians.
In this room, we have the entire Nigerians being represented. And we were able to forge ahead. We're able to come together when we need to come together to make, very good decision for this nation. And we did that as good elder statesmen and women.
Having produced key members of the current executives, the 9th Assembly, the First Lady notes, has contributed a lot to the new administration, thereby becoming a good stepping stone for the 10th Senate.
Anyone who doesn't have hope, you can't really move ahead. This new administration beckons that, and we have to make the necessary sacrifice, which starts with the new 10th Assembly. For me, as a woman of faith, I believe is double grace. Number 10 will give us double grace.
For their contributions, the First Lady and her colleagues were presented Certificate of Service and Legacy Report by the Senate President.
Like a clockwork, 12 years of service at the Senate have gone by for Senator Oluremi Tinubu. And the consensus here is that those years have been impactful to the benefit of our primary constituency, talking about Lagos Central Senatorial District, and of course, the nation at large. A higher calling now beckons, and that is to be the mother of all as the First Lady of Nigeria. From the National Assembly, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Confederation of All Progressives Congress support groups have assured Nigerians that good governance is assured under the current administration. This was at a stakeholders meeting ahead of the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly in Abuja. Saliu Gwanara reports.
As the days trickled down to hours for the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly on June 13th, the Confederation of All Progressives Congress support groups, in a crucial stakeholders engagement, appealed to the senators-elect of the 10th National Assembly to perform their first task of legislative duty by bringing forward leaders that will key into the planned reforms of the new administration to sustain and promote democratic gains and accelerate the development initiative being proposed.
We are all Nigerians. We are not against our southern brothers and sisters, but fairness and equity must come to play. We will do our best through the confederation of all LBC groups and outside to make sure that Nigerian youth get jobs, they are properly engaged, they are properly educated.
And now the next assignment for us at the Confederation is to make sure that the Senate, the National Assembly, is being overwhelmed by Democrats.
That will pass laws that will help the president navigate and enshrine his purposeful adventures.
The group wants stakeholders, particularly members of the 10th National Assembly, to uphold a cordial executive-legislative relationship. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the resolve to keep the bond of sisterhood in supporting women issues for national development has been made by Senators' Wives Forum. Reina Obasi reports that a dinner to mark valedictory session of the 9th Senate in Abuja provided opportunity for the forum to take stock of its activities to further push women to the front burner.
It was a night of mixed feelings for the 9 senators' wives as they gathered here to pat each other at the back for playing supportive roles to their husbands who are senators of the 9th Assembly. Some of the women here will, however, remain in the forum as their spouses have been re-elected to the 10th Assembly. The chairman of the forum, Dr. Halima Alfagaya, commended the members for being good followers, stating that the forum has brought women together, inspiring many to work hard and alive to their responsibilities as mothers.
The incoming tenure is indeed very fortunate to have a gender-friendly and responsive leadership as the one of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his vice.
For other members of the forum, it was a moment of joy for their position as wives left them with huge responsibilities to always bridge the gap in engagements and interactions with constituents.
Because not everyone is coming back, it's also a joyful one that we've made friendship and we've become sisters along the line.
The Hague's assembly wasn't as colorful as this. The love is there, the commitment is there, we are always at each other's back.
I'm happy that it was a fruitful 4 years in sound health, in happiness, in joy.
The women used the opportunity to dine and wine together, as it is the first time the forum is being led by elective members. There was presentation of gifts to the special guest of honor, wife of the vice president, Hajiya Nana Shatim Kashima, who was represented, and to the chairman of the forum. In Abuja, Rina Obasi, NTA News.
To other news now, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, at Saturday's hearing of his petition challenging the outcome of February 25th presidential election, tendered video evidence before the court. Austin Ayembe of our Judiciary Desk reports.
At the Saturday sitting of the Presidential Election Petition Court, the presidential candidate of Labour Party, Peter Obi, tenders on audio-video materials containing address by the INEC chairman, and these audio-video materials were played in court. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission in the video was addressing representatives of political parties, where he mentioned that transmission of results shall be real-time. In the video, which lasted about 20 minutes, he spoke on several issues regarding the elections. It was tendered through One Lucky, a correspondent with Channels Television. Also tendered through Lucky is another audio-video material still from Channels Television, featuring INEC National Commissioner in charge of information, Festus Okoye, on his program Sunday Politics, where he admitted technical hitches during the presidential election, saying there will be improvement in the subsequent ones. Meanwhile, the court struck out Peter Obi's application to serve interrogatories on INEC on the ground that it was filed in disregard to the directive from the pre-hearing report. Delivering ruling on the application, argued the court held that the petitioner's counsel failed to draw the attention of the court to the application, which he said was filed before the pre-hearing report was issued on 23rd May 2023. The petitioner's counsel had wanted INEC to provide answers to 12 questions formulated in the interrogatories. The court also heard a petition filed by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, in continuation of his evidence to prove irregularities in the February 25th presidential election, called additional 2 witnesses who were polling units presiding officers. They include Alheri Ayuba and Sadia Muhammad Haruna. They told the court that the election was peaceful except their inability to upload results from BVAS to IREV. During cross-examination, they agreed that complaints on that were not entered into forms EC40G given to them meant for that purpose. Hearing continues Tuesday, 13th June 2023. From the Court of Appeal, Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
The Department of State Services, DSS, confirms that the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, is now in its custody for some investigative reasons. The service, in a statement, enjoins the media to apply utmost caution in the reportage and narratives concerning the situation. The Nigerian Air Force will continue to sustain air and ground momentum towards ensuring national security. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Omao, stated this at the graduation ceremony of Advanced Critical Asset Protection Squad held at the Nigerian Air Force Base, Kaduna. Haruna Muhammad tells us more.
Simulation of combat readiness by Advanced Critical Asset Protection Squad of the Nigerian Air Force. The special squad, comprising of 10 officers, 141 airmen and women, were tutored in weapon firing, night navigation, intelligence gathering, endurance and critical asset protection as well as base defense and perimeter patrol.
You are embarking on the next stage of your careers with unique skills to meet unique challenges. You must live to expectations.
Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Oladayo Amao, in a message, tasked the personnel not to undermine safety and to deploy their training to defending the country in line with the rules of engagement.
Nigerian Air Force has been training tirelessly, both in the air, on the ground, and all this is in effort to meet the contemporary security challenges. So we are always ready, able, and willing.
The Critical Force Protection Squad, having undergone 8 weeks of rigorous training, are now better professionally equipped to handle force protection contingencies of both internal and external threats. In Kaduna, I am Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
We'll take a break now. When we return, more reports. Do stay. You're welcome back. The National Senior Citizen Center has commended the Nigerian Television Authority for its steadfastness in projecting issues that affect older persons in Nigeria. Ruth Agwele reports that this was attributed by the Director General, Dr. Omokaro, at a luncheon organized for its media partners in Abuja.
What started like baby steps has today grown. Established in June 2021, the National Senior Citizen Center is 2 years old.
The act that set up NSCC has a very optimistic perception of aging.
In appreciation of support from its development partners, this luncheon is being organized for its media partners in recognition of their efforts towards projecting the activities of the center, of meeting the needs of older persons across the country. The Nigerian Television Authority was awarded for its outstanding contributions and support in ensuring that policies that affects older persons are disseminated effectively. Responding on behalf of NTA, the Director General, Abdulhamid Dambos, who was represented by the Deputy Director News, appreciated the center for the honor.
NTA always supports whatever it is that is going to be benefits to Nigeria. We feel we should support it, nurture it, so that Nigerians, especially the senior citizens who have done a lot, who have put in all their productive years to serve Nigeria.
In just 2 years, it's amazing how much awareness has been created and how people are now getting to know those issues regarding older persons.
It's a very good initiative, and it will go a long way in extending the value of life in Nigeria.
I can only appeal is for the new president and all the new state governors. They need to round up and support this program.
I'm also looking forward to strengthening partnerships with the MDAs, because there are many programs we can roll out by ourselves. We want to see this sector-wide partnerships really thrive, and that's the way we can really get quality help, multi-sectoral help to our senior citizens at Igbo.
Beyond the merriment, more is expected from the fourth estate of the RAM to enable the center's sustained efforts in building the capacities of older persons to achieve the National Plan of Action for Aging. In Abuja, Ruth Agwele, NTA News.
The Managing Director of NDDC, Samuel Oboko, says the Commission will leave no stone unturned to ensure that projects embarked upon are completed. Jenny Basi reports that he made this known shortly after inspecting some ongoing projects in Delta State. The Managing Director and his management team also paid a courtesy visit on the paramount ruler of Baramatu Kingdom.
Projects inspected by the Managing Director, Niger Delta Development Commission, include the permanent site of the Delta State Office of the NDDC, the Okborodu Escravos Water Bank, among others. The Managing Director, NDDC, Samuel Okpoko, says the Commission is committed to completing all ongoing projects to add value to the lives of people of the region. He pledges the Commission's readiness to partner the public and private sector to bring development to the area and also constantly evaluate the projects to see to its completion.
We've all studied it here and we've all put it together. We've come up with measures of immediate, short-term and a long-term solution. I think the long-term solution is how to ensure that there is shore protection to protect the road, but the immediate is just to ensure that at least the road is passable for now.
The paramount ruler of Baramatu Kingdom, Atekepe Agadaba, while congratulating the MD on his appointment, appeals for the completion of some projects in the area to boost economic and social life of the people.
We want our region, Niger Delta, to be developed, not to experience uncompleted or abandoned or cancelled projects.
Earlier, the MD and management team on arrival visited the Delta State office of the NDDC to familiarize with staff of the commission, where he promised them of a better and improved welfare. From Okboroza, Delta State, Jenny Bassi, NTA News.
The Executive Secretary, Nigerian Christian Pilgrim Commission, NCPC, Reverend Yakubu Pam, says the commission is putting finishing touches for successful 2023 pilgrimage, which commences in November. He stated this while speaking with correspondent Ifeanyi Ezumba in Abuja.
The Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission was established by an Act of Parliament on 28 May 2007 to lead Christians to pilgrimage, essentially for prayers and the holy sites of Israel. Jerusalem being the birthplace of Jesus Christ, it is a spiritual journey that evokes the consciousness of those who want to understand the existential nature of their spiritual being. Executive Secretary Reverend Yakubu Pam revealed that this has brought healing and unity to the church and the country.
When you see pilgrims from different states of the Federation meeting together, and all over there they are calling them Nigerians, and most of the subject of discussions and prayer is Nigeria. And when they look at those countries, how they are organized and how they are faring, the desire is back home. Lord, help our own country.
He maintained that the Commission has encouraged dedicated prayers by pilgrims advocating unity of the country, peace, stability, good governance, good citizenship, progress and national cohesion. He described the country's population of diverse languages and culture as divine and a blessing to the generality of the people and one of the factors that makes the country unique. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NTA News.
Now to the agri sector, as the Food and Agriculture Organization and other key players in the health sector seek urgent action on food safety in developing countries, including Nigeria. This is coming as the FAO marks this year's World Food Safety Day. Musa Baba Ali reports.
Healthcare service providers are of the view that sufficient amount of safe and nutritious food is key to sustaining life and promoting good health. They also believe that unsafe food contains harmful bacteria, viruses, parasites, or chemical substances that could cause more than 200 diseases, ranging from diarrhea to cancers.
The World Health Organization record shows that foodborne and waterborne diseases taken together kills more than 4 million people annually, including children.
And when we talk about food standards, we talk about good hygiene practices, good manufacturing practices, good storage practices, even good distribution practices. All these things are in line to ensure the safety of the food.
It is in the light of these that the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organizations, FAO, set aside a day to create awareness and sensitize the public on food safety. Leader for FAO's Emergency Center for Transboundary Animal Diseases, Otto Muhinda, calls for urgent steps to addressing issues around food safety, which he says could affect the country's economy, cause premature death and hunger. Director of Pharmaceutical Services, Food and Drugs, Joseph Ologum, represents the Federal Ministry of Health. He says food standards, safe lives, the need for Nigeria to do whatever it takes to improve food safety practices and standards. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
There's more agri stories to set the tone for our conversation on Weekend File tonight on 2023 cropping season. The 2023 rainy season has set in across the length and breadth of the country. The season commences at the time the country witnessed a change in government under a democratic system. Farmers are therefore hopeful that the season will be a promising one, just as the new administration pledges more support to smallholder farmers. In this report, Musa Baba Aliu takes a look at some of the farmers' requests and promises made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration.
From all indications, the 2023 rainy season has set in across the length and breadth of the country. The concerns of an average farmer are stable rainfall, availability of inputs as well as security.
It boils down to the rural women if they are going to afford inputs like fertilizer, seedlings to make their farms.
Here are representatives of various farmers groups in the country brainstorming on how the 2023 rainy season might look like.
Lack of consistent access to affordable finance, unavailability of quality inputs, skyrocketing prices of input, high post-harvest losses, fragmented and unstructured market, and dangers associated with negative climate change.
The farmers are expecting a new policy direction from the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. There is also anxiety over the status of Anchor Brewers program, if it will be continued or scrapped.
The much celebrated Anchor Brewer program has ceased, and the farmers are left to their own designs. And then, of course, like we said, the devastating flood has robbed them of even the little that they could have had, from their small efforts.
The issue of fertilizer subsidy under the Nigeria-Morocco agreement is also at stake. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, during his inauguration, says agriculture will be given priority.
Agricultural hubs will be created throughout the nation to increase production and engage in credit, promote credit, engage in value-added processing.
The rainy season is expected to last up to 100 days in far northern states and above 300 days in west and southern parts of the country. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
And joining me from our Kaduna Network Center is Professor Emmanuel Ikani. He's Executive Director, National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Of confidence. And over the years, your institution has been analyzing agricultural activities during rainy season. Now, what are the major issues confronting farmers?
Thank you very much for that good question. It is called Agricultural Performance Survey, APS. It is an annual event that we do in my institute. Go around the whole local government of the Federation to assess the performance of the agri sector every year. In fact, we already started the one for this year. Last year, when we went out, as we normally do, the report is normally presented to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development. And we did that last year. And we noted some of the findings that were the issues on the farm. One of them was input, particularly seed. The quality of seed determines the growth of any agriculture. It's the taproot seed, is the taproot of any agriculture. So we discovered that seed, access to improved seed is still low in the country. We also discovered that extension, because the structure that handles extension in Nigeria is the ADP, and they are hosted in the 36 states of the Federation. They have become neglected. So the issue of the extension farmers ratio is an issue. We also discovered in the analysis the aging population of our farmers and the lack of interest of youth to go into it. That we discovered, and that was reported to the ministry. when we had come back from the field in September ending, by October, flooding that was unprecedented happened in the 2022. And from our analysis across the nation, we discovered that the nation lost, in monetary terms, 700 billion. That was what was lost to flooding last year of farmers' produce. And this also we reported to the ministry, and we suggested how this can be mitigated. So these are the issues. And we are here again 2023. NIMET has indicated that there will be flooding too this year. And this is because of the climate change. It has become a reality, and we cannot ignore it. Something has to be done. And we had suggestions of what we needed to do to the farmers, because this has become a recurrent issue. We are relating the farmers that they should pay attention to flood-resistant crops, variety crops, and early maturing crops, particularly the farmers that are the flood-prone zones in the country. This we are promoting, and this we are saying. Thank you.
Indeed, the prediction by NIMET in the 2023 cropping season is not palatable. And you raised some fundamental questions: the aging population of our farmers and non-interest of the younger generation to take up farming. But I believe with the speech that the president gave at his inaugural speech that he will bring in modern things to attract the younger generation. Do you think that will bring them back on board?
Yes, it will, and I have suggestions in that area. If you go to our field, the tool of farming Nigeria as it is today is over 80% cutlass and hoes. It is an indication that our farming is still heavy drudgery, labor intensive, and for us to be able to attract youth back into the farm, we must pay attention to how to reduce the population of cutlass and hoes on our field. And the way to go, by our suggestion, is not just to go to developed countries and bring sophisticated equipment, combine harvesters, tractors that were made for European countries and bring in here. Our suggestion is that we should go and look inwards to produce simple labor-saving devices. And luckily for us, in Nigeria, we have an agency called NCAM, National Center for Agricultural Mechanization in Ilorin. They have these equipment, they have these low labor-saving devices on their shelf at the level of prototype. And so we are suggesting that these NCAM products that are on the shelf should be linked to industries that are already making automobiles in the country. I see a number of times on the road trucks that are made for the military by Innoson. I see for road safety, I see for customs, I see for immigration. The same industry, I think, can make some trucks, some tractors, power tillers, seed planters for agricultural sector. And this you can do, linking that type of industry, factory, with the income that is in Ilorin, with prototypes on their shelf that is calling for multiplication of production, massive production by industries. And I think this administration to look at that, linking income to industries.
We're looking out for, solutions from your institute to help drive the agricultural sector. We'll take a break. When we return, Weekend File continues. You're welcome back, and my guest is still in the studio, Professor Emmanuel Ekani, Executive Director, National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. We need to talk more about input when it comes to agriculture, because without food security, the economy of a nation itself is, not on a very good balance. So your report last year shows that input was a major challenge. How is the situation this year?
actually has not changed. The cost of input has gone up because of the recent happenings. You remember recently there was a subsidy removal that has increased pump price. It's also affecting input. But there's a good news. The good news this year is that the fertilizer company by the Dangote Group of Company is coming online. And that's a major breakthrough in the sector. Once the issue of fertilizer is sorted out, and we're going to be looking inwards, then the farmers are good to go. But the areas I think we still have problem is the area of improved seed. Access of our farmers to improved seed is still less than 5%. And seed actually is the taproot of any agriculture in any nation. So we need to look at that. The National Seed Council need to look at that so that farmers can have access to improve seed across the nation. That we need to support. For the input, apart from fertilizer, agrochemical is also an issue. You just listened that FAO is celebrating food safety. One of the problems of our crop, why it cannot be exported, is the residue, chemical residue in our crops. There's a good number of chemicals that's in the country that are banned, and we need to check that. And then apart from that, there are some of these input agrochemicals that are adulterated. So these are some of the problems on the field. But for farmers, they need inputs. And we cannot look away from this fact. They need input.
Of farmers using pesticides on farm produce on the farm, and usually it creates a lot of health issues. What are you doing to address this?
Sensitization, we have in my institute, we have prints that has to do with safety of use of pesticides. We have them in Igbo, we have in English, we have in Hausa, we have in Pidgin English, we have in Yoruba, and farmer can have access to it because it's a major issue. Apart from that, the risk into it, the right mixture and the use of it, because of the high level of farmers that are illiterate, it's a major problem. We have a number of farmers, a majority of our farmers are illiterate. They don't have this ability to read and write, and it's difficult to. So, but we go on air in radio, TV for documentary, for sport announcement during release, and also conduct trainings. We have what we call pre-season trainings, and that we do every year to make sure that farmers do what they're supposed to do rightly with respect to pesticides, both on the field and in storehouses.
Yes, I'm going to give you two trigger questions now. The Tinubu administration said his administration is going to establish agri-processing hub. Let's have your view on that. And do you think reintroduction of commodity will be the solution to some of the challenges associated with post-harvest losses?
Move in the right direction by the president. It's a good move in the right direction. From 2012 to 2011-2012, there was an introduction of what we call the value chain. Value chain means that apart from production, it should go into processing. And I'm happy that the presidency is looking at the concept of value chain, where after the commodities are produced, we go into the other level of value chain for processing. Because, one, if food are not processed, they can't be stored. Processing means value addition. And for any government to talk about processing, which includes storage, marketing, branding, logistics across the value chain, it's a good move in the right direction. And I want to say for the commodity marketing, yes, because from 2012 started promoting what we call farming agric as a profit instead of just from hand to mouth. And to do that, commodity marketing is going to be very, very useful to attract even the youth we are talking about. If they cannot go to the field to cultivate, they can pick any of the chains along the chains, either marketing or processing or storage or to the table, even eatery. And that is a good, so creating processing hubs in the country actually, I think, was initiated about 2 years ago by the African Development Bank, what they call special crop processing zones. And I think the president is going like that because there's a support for Nigeria from the African Development Bank, and it is a good move in the right direction.
In 30 seconds, let's have your advice to the federal government. You know, it's not just talking about, you know, initiatives, you know, ways to enhance farmers. It's also about implementation, which is key. What advice do you have for the administration? In 30 seconds, please.
So the advice I have for the presidency is that when it comes to processing, there must be power. And I'm happy about the bill on the electricity that has been passed at the presidency. There must be power because value chain is a concept from the industry. And you cannot do industry without power. And I'm happy that for the first time since 1960 to date, we have a bill now that has decentralized electricity. So that I want to see. And I also want to say that when it comes to processing, the driver's seat should be the private sector, not government. Government has no business in business. So I want to advise that, and it's the right move in the right direction, like I said before.
Okay, Professor Emmanuel Ikani, thank you so much for coming on Weekend File. He's the Executive Director, National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Services, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. It's been a pleasure having you on Weekend File.
I appreciate it.
Let's take another break. Do stay. You're welcome back. Next is Sports Update. With Sports Update, we'll wrap up on Weekend File for this week. Thanks so much for watching. I am Jummai Yusuf.